It's a 1-year anniversary. 1 year. A crisis in Gaza. Today is October 7th. And we are not going to see peace. 1 year since this horrific war started. 1 year since the complete destruction of Gaza is now taking place. So dare I say it, it's probably already done at this point. According to some recent accounts, at least confirmed, there's maybe 45 to maybe 46,000 confirmed dead men, women, and children. But according to the Lancet report, that number is probably much higher, reaching to maybe 250,000 to possibly 300,000. I dread to think of these numbers because when I look at the dead, all I can say is did nothing but lead to the next conflict. And what has gone on since October 7th of 2023? Now conflict between Israel and Iran, Israel and Lebanon, Israel and Syria, and the war is still ongoing. We will not see peace. We're not going to. But of course, both Harris and Donald Trump had time to give remarks to the October 7th anniversary. Yeah, happy anniversary. World War III. Don't you love it? It's that Coca-Cola classic. Who doesn't love it? World War III. Here we go. Here we go. So let's talk about it. Monday marks 1 year since October 7th Hamas terrorist attacks on Israel. But by the way, I'm willing to bet Piers Morgan is going to do an anniversary video too. Do you bloody well condemn Hamas? By the way, homework assignment to anybody that's got the stomach for it. Throughout this past year, does anyone have like a toll or count number of how many times Piers Morgan said, do you bloody well condemn Hamas? Do you condemn Hamas? Do you condemn Hamas? Which launched the ongoing and escalating conflict in the Middle East. Vice President Harris and former President Trump both plan to commemorate the 1 year mark, which comes just under a month until Election Day, when foreign policy issues are at the top of mind for voters. Oh, I saw what you did there, Hill. No, really, the number one issue is the economy. Now, of course, World War III is a very concerning issue, but really, the number one issue is the economy. These wars are perfect wag the dog moments to make Americans forget, oh, yeah, that's right, I'm broke. But we got money to give to Israel and Ukraine. Doesn't that just put a smile on your face? Harris will be in Washington, D.C. for the anniversary, and her second gentleman, Doug Emhoff, who, by the way, there's a little bit of a scandal surrounding him by hitting his girlfriend at the time. No, not Kamala. But maybe that's a story for another day. Corporate media, why don't you talk about that? We'll plant look at this. Both Kamala and her second gentleman, Doug, they're going to plant a memorial tree on the grounds of the vice president's residence, according to a White House official. It will be a pomegranate tree, which represents hope and righteousness in Judaism. Okay, hey, I'm all for planting trees because I like the garden, but hope and righteousness and peace? Yeah, hey. Yeah, that ain't going to happen. That's called a no bueno. That's not going to happen. She will then deliver brief remark. What? Wasn't Biden still president, or is he just still like walking around with his pants off? She will then deliver brief remarks during which she will reflect on the pain and loss from October 7th and reaffirm her unwavering commitment to the security of Israel and of the Jewish people, and her commitment to prevent anything like October 7th, 2023 from ever happening again, even though the New York Times did an article about, hey, like the intelligence service kind of got a heads up, like, yo, something's going to happen. They said, it's okay. Don't you worry about it. It'll be all right. Oh, man. Okay. Trump, for his part, will deliver remarks at an October 7th remembrance event taking place at his golf course in Doral, Florida. Hey, Trump, man, I don't think you'll be having golf courses anytime soon, man, because these hurricanes are just taking it all away. So Trump will almost certainly use the occasion to attack President Biden and Harris, as he's done for months when speaking out about Israel and Hamas attacks. He has also previously said Jewish voters who do not support him should have their head examined. So great. So I just want to play this video here. And this person here, Sam Ahmed, is going to make an appeal to those planning to vote for VP Kamala Harris. Let's play this video. Huge shout out to Case Study QB.
And maybe someone liked this argument, but I want to put it quite bluntly. To summarize, because I could list the examples endlessly, but I want to summarize it in this point. Trump is going to be worse than Biden. Let's measure it. What do you mean relative to what happened to the Palestinians? Tell me what is so terrifying that you are willing to forgive the genocide in Gaza. Tell me what scares you so much that you are willing to step over Sidra's lifeless corpse with the legs blown off and say, excuse me, sorry. That you will step over Hind Rajab's cold corpse that was shot at 360 times by the Israelis while she sat in the car waiting for an ambulance that was blown by Israeli tank. That you step over Hind Rajab's body, sorry Hind. That you would step over Reem's body. Tell me what's so terrifying. You step over Reem, Ruh, spirit of my spirit. That you step over the child you can't identify, this child, the head's blown off. You step over them. You step over those 240,000 corpses to get to that ballot box. You step over all of them. You walk by the Palestinian refugees walking by. Where are you going? I'm going to the ballot box. Voting for who? You're too ashamed, embarrassed to say it at that time. You walk to the ballot box. You walk over those bodies, piles and piles of those bodies, drenched in the blood. You see those kids in those images of the hospitals, crushed by the rubble. Their arms are hanging, blood dripping for no other crime than some random people from the West said this land belongs to us. You will walk all over those corpses, go to the ballot box, vote for the one who did it to them, Jalal. Vote for the one who slaughtered them. Vote for the one who massacred them. Vote for the one who continued to lend every impunity to them. Vote for the one who broke the whole international order to slaughter those children, to slaughter our brothers and sisters, to commit the most brutal genocide. You will cross all of those corpses to the ballot box. You will put a cross next to the name of Harris, the one who committed the genocide with Biden. And you will yell to those spirits and say, I did it for you. You will look at them in the eye and say, I voted this for you. You will say that I voted for the one who killed you. I voted for the one who gave the bombs to slaughter you. More bombs than Dresden, more bombs than Hiroshima, more bombs than Nagasaki, more bombs than World War II. I voted for the one who gave unfettered access to all those weapons. I voted for the one who sent the Marines to help kill you. And you will dare to look me in the eye and say you did it for Palestine. You did it for them. The nerve, the sheer arrogance of it. It's not for Palestine. It's for your comfort.
I want to pause here for a second, and I apologize for pausing. But I've been hearing occasionally here and there when I speak to some liberal people that we have to vote for Kamala because there'll be peace. She can get a ceasefire done. She can do it. There's nothing preventing Kamala or Biden from doing a ceasefire. They've had a whole year. When October 7th took place, and the weeks after, the Biden-Harris administration knew that the IDF was hitting civilian centers and residential homes and hospitals. Now, if we look at Gaza, it's nothing more than a moonscape. If we look at Gaza, we realize that it's nothing more than a maddening, destructive wasteland. Men, women, and children are starving, disease running rampant. And the death toll could be much higher. Now, I don't know if Donald Trump can pull off a ceasefire. I do know this. I could say this with absolute certainty. That if Trump was president, there'd be protests out there a mile long, 2 miles long. If Trump was president currently right now, if this was going on, there would be people out there in the street in mass. But again, these would be nothing but fake performative activists. And what do I mean by fake performative activists? I saw these people show up in mass from 2016 throughout the 4 years of the Trump administration. And I saw people speaking a big game about being anti-war and holding Washington, D.C. accountable and how we got to stop Trump and continue on the fight. And as soon as Biden got in, where'd you go? Where did all of you go? I mean, and some of these people were really smug too, you know? High and mighty, arrogant, big-headed. I can't find a single kind word to say about them because they're suckers and they showed me shite. Always forming up somewhere in downtown Chicago to protest against Trump. Now, do I think Trump can maybe pull off a ceasefire? It is within his power. He could do it if he wanted to. But to the diehard Democrat voters, you are asking people who are independents or progressives, and yes, even Republican voters, to vote for Kamala because she can get a peace deal done. She could do it now if she wanted to. So could Biden. They could. Why aren't they? It's because there's a thing called having the AIPAC babysitters. They got babysitters taking care of them. So I understand why this man is angry and emotional. People have every right to be angry and emotional. We're seeing more bombs dropped in that one region than what? Some of the major conflicts of the Second World War? It's been 1 year. 1 year. The war zone in Gaza has now expanded outward into Lebanon, Iran, Syria. What's next? Who's next? Is there an end game? And the answer, my friends, unfortunately, regrettably, is no.
It's for your status quo. It's for the luxury that you live. Trump is not going to blow up your limbs. You're not going to have a limb amputated in the next 4 years because there's no anesthesia. You survived 4 years of Trump. You could survive again. 240,000 Palestinians did not survive 4 years of Biden. You survived Trump. You survived it. You didn't have your home taken from you. It wasn't handed to Ben Shapiro. It wasn't given to Ben Walsh. The National Guard didn't ethnically cleanse California of Muslims. They didn't go to the East Coast where it's colder. None of that happened to you in the 4 years. None of that will happen to you in the next 4 years. What are you so scared of? That you will go to the ballot box and say, I'm voting for the genociders. Why would you rescue Zionism? Why would you rescue Zionism when it's buckling? Why would you restore their invincibility when it's breaking? Why would you go to the ballot box and say, Zionism, let me prove to the world that even if they support a genocide, they can still win because no one betrays Zionism? Why would you have the chance to break the two-party system? You go and rescue Zionism.
Now, Trump has also made it clear that he is standing by Israel. But there have been few moments, and again, take this with a grain of salt. I'm not expecting Trump to be the peacemaker. I mean, could he get a ceasefire? Yeah. Is Israel going to be held accountable? No. To quote Bassem Youssef, Israel's going to get away with this. But I do know that he has said on the record that, hey, Israel, and again, not doing him properly by quoting him, but you got to stop this. It's not good. You got to stop it. And I'm being generous here. Because again, as we all know, Republicans and Democrats are owned by AIPAC. But is it understandable maybe why people wouldn't vote for Kamala? Maybe why people would vote third party or independent? Or either that, as I've covered on this show and other people in independent media have covered on their shows respectively, that there are Arab and Muslim voters that would actually even consider voting for Trump because maybe they think he'd get a better peace deal than what Biden or Kamala can do. It's understandable. And there is a large voting bloc of Arab and Muslim voters in Michigan, for example, who are upset, who were abandoned by the Democrats, uncommitted. You weren't allowed to speak at the DNC convention. You weren't allowed a seat at the table. They didn't want to hear you. And even then, uncommitted, outside of the DNC convention where the protesters were at when they were naming the names of the dead children, liberals were covering their ears and mocking them. So yeah, 1 year. What has changed? Nothing. Well, hold on. I mean, nothing has changed in regards for ongoing war, but I guess the war has now gone to different countries. Lebanon, Syria, Iran. Who's next? Iraq? Egypt? Saudi Arabia? Where does it end? Will it end? I remember covering a story about earlier this year where Netanyahu was saying this war can go all the way up to 2025. Am I going to read an article of Netanyahu saying, yeah, this war is going to go up to 2026, then 2027, 2028? Hey, that'll be the next presidential election cycle. I wonder what will change then, if anything will change. People have a right to be furious. People have a right to be angry. And when you get articles like this, for example, Harris is pressed on support for Netanyahu in 60 Minutes interview. Now, I can't play that 60 Minutes video because be hit was copyright, but Vice President Harris was pressed on the U.S. support for Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu in an upcoming interview on CBS, 60 Minutes. So, yeah, that's what happened. We will supply Israel with billions of dollars in military aid, correspondent Bill Whittaker said in a clip highlighted by Mediate. And yet Prime Minister Netanyahu seems to be charting his own course. The Biden-Harris administration has pressed him to agree to a ceasefire. He's resisted. You urged him not to go into Lebanon. He went in anyway. He has promised to make Iran pay for the missile attack, and that has the potential of expanding the war. Does the U.S. have no sway over Prime Minister Netanyahu? So hey, listen to this one. This is what Harris said in response. The aid that we have given Israel allowed Israel to defend itself against 200 ballistic missiles that were just meant to attack the Israelis and the people of Israel. And when we think about the threat of Hamas, Hezbollah presents Iran, I think it is without any question our imperative to do what we can to allow Israel to defend itself against those kind of attacks. Jesus Christ, Kamala, that is a terrible answer. Now, the work that we do diplomatically with the leadership of Israel is an ongoing pursuit around making clear our principles, which include the need for humanitarian aid, the need for this war to end, the need for a deal to be done, which would release the hostages and create a ceasefire. And we're not going to stop in terms of putting the pressure on Israel and the region, including Arab leaders. My God, holy cow. I think I lost a brain cell reading that. That was your answer? Hey, look, by the way, most of Gaza is a moonscape, okay? It's like it's all gone. I think most of those hostages, I don't think they're here anymore. Okay? I think they're gone. 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 You had a whole year to get a ceasefire. And since then, what has happened? Hey, can you please stop? Nah. Hey, can you please stop? No. Hey, can you please stop? No. Hey, can you please stop? Hey, can you please stop asking me to stop? How does this look to the rest of the world? Now, I want to pull up a video here, and I didn't get a chance to play it, but it happened on September 28th. This is from Max Blumenthal when he was at the Rage Against the War Machine rally. I think we deserve a palate cleanser because obviously Kamala has made it clear she's going to be supporting Israel. Trump, yeah, he's going to be supporting Israel too. Could he get a ceasefire done? I hope. I mean, that's the big question mark. Because if you're looking at recent polling data of Arab and Muslim voters looking at third parties or even voting for Trump, it's abundantly clear that Democrats, you've lost your coalition. It's been 1 year. What has changed? I guess the pile of bodies got so high that it blocked the sun.
I was supposed to be in Kingston, New York today at another anti-war rally, but Pete Buttigieg canceled my flight, so not really. my flight was canceled, so I decided to see all the nice folks down here and all the FBI agents undercover. Got any FBI agents out there? Raise your hands. I hope the investigation into Trump's assassination turns out well, because I know they're looking to see if there are any other people involved in it. And when they find them, the FBI promises they'll fire them. I actually wanted to come down here because we are living through probably the most dangerous period that I can remember since the 9/11 attacks. And so I just had a message about that. The 9/11 attacks were blowback for decades of US militarism and CIA covert operations in the Middle East and Central Asia. And hours after the 9/11 attacks, the national security state began to consolidate its control over America and embarked on an insane campaign to destroy large swaths of the Middle East in the name of Pax Americana. Was it really Pax Americana, though? A Kamala Harris surrogate named Dick Cheney marched into the Pentagon days after 9/11 with a list of 7 countries whose governments had to be overthrown. And these 7 countries all happened to be governments that were adversarial towards Israel. Around that time, someone who was the opposition leader in Israel named Benjamin Netanyahu testified before the US Senate that he was confident that Saddam Hussein had ties with Al-Qaeda and possessed weapons of mass destruction.
And that worked swimmingly well. And there were no problems afterwards, right? Oh, no.
And on that list that Cheney and Rumsfeld were passing along, alongside Iraq and Libya and Syria, was also Lebanon, a country where a powerful paramilitary force, paragovernmental force with massive popular support, had just kicked out Israeli military occupiers in 2000. It was called Hezbollah. Yesterday, following a wave of terror across Lebanon, including exploding batteries in communication devices that left thousands maimed and children killed, people's eyes burned out, Israel commenced bombing southern Beirut with 2,000-pound US-supplied bunker buster bombs and destroyed an entire city block about the size of the World Trade Center of Ground Zero in order to kill one man, and that man was Hassan Nasrallah, the Hezbollah leader who had ejected Israel's military from southern Lebanon and who was branded a terrorist because of his resistance to Israel. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds were killed. 6 entire residential apartment blocks were destroyed in order to kill one man. This was an act of unsheathed naked state terrorism. And today, President Joe Biden offered this is the self-described Irish Zionist President Joe Biden offered his full-throated endorsement of this act of state terror. And in doing so, Joe Biden embraced the same logic that Al-Qaeda put forward when it took credit for bombing the World Trade Center on 9/11. Joe Biden embraced the same logic that Thomas Matthew Crooks put forward when he attempted to drive a car full of explosives into a Trump rally, killing hundreds and hundreds of people in order to assassinate one man. It is the
I will be sure to post that full video. In fact, there's a second video that I want to play that was just brought to my attention. Huge shout out again to Case Study QB. This is why I love my audience, because you guys, especially when we do this morning show, are quick to inform me about stuff that's going on, because without you, where would we be? But folks, this whole entire conflict didn't have to happen. Globalism, intervention, the destruction of governments and people. We should be better. But see, the problem is the foundation to all these wars happened decades before any of us were born. So if you're a boomer, you're a Gen X or millennial, Gen Z, this has been a generational, decade-long problem that the American people have been purposely blinded to by our government. They lied to us. They fed us misinformation. They fed us these lies. There's a lot to be said about what can happen on election night. But in regards to these conflicts and why we're there, why we are involved, be it with boots on the ground or having another paramilitary force or having Israel do it, the reason why we're there, and I'm going to quote Donald Trump, we're there for the oil. We're not there for freedom. We're not there for security. We're not there for the people. We're there for total war. We're there for the oil. We're there for the oil. We're there for the oil. I wonder how all of us would react if somebody did that to us. I'm pretty sure we would all snap. I'm pretty sure we'd get angry. But oh, wait, they already are doing that to us. When a natural disaster or man-made disaster hits one of our states or cities, do we get any relief or support? No. The elites are up on high in their ivory tower looking down at the poors. What's it like to be not even a third-class citizen in a global superpower, the richest country of the world?
The logic of state terror that is being embraced by the Biden administration. And we will pay the price as Americans. Terror begets terror. Our government, which allowed Benjamin Netanyahu to authorize this terrorist attack on Lebanon from a hotel room in New York City, has unleashed a whirlwind. And they will lie to us when the blowback arrives about why it took place, just as they lied to us about 9/11. We will pay the price as average Americans. American troops will pay the price. But these soft-handed elites in their air-conditioned offices, they are going to just get paid.
Now, I want to play one more video here. And I do like I do like the passion. Now, real quick, I don't think I could play this video because I think I could get hit with copyright, but I will show the tweet. This is from Bassem Youssef, and you know what? Perhaps I'll play this as an end credit video for our viewing audience for Rumble. So when we wrap up the show, we'll play this at the end on Rumble, so that way all of you can see this video. I actually had a chance to watch it, and it's actually a phenomenal piece of work. But that same individual gives the video I played earlier is presenting an argument to vote for Jill Stein. Let's play it.
The ones we thought were pro-Israel and therefore anti-Palestine, those pro-Israel became pro-Palestine when they received the dawah and they saw what was happening in Palestine. Because the ummah moved, because the community moved, you created an opportunity today where you can break the two-party system and break the invincibility of the Zionist lobby. The issue is, the battle is not over yet. It's not over yet. The reason the Zionists spent 24 million on Jamal Bowman is because they're reacting to that pressure. We moved, they're moving. And right now there's a wrestling match. Zionism is trying to rescue its invincibility in November. Many Muslims are saying, I'm getting tired, I'm feeling fatigued. But the Muslims don't realize it's the Zionist who is panicking. It's the Zionist who feels that neither Harris or Trump can reverse the breaking of the invincibility. The Muslim is getting tired because he or she believes they're not making the impact. The Zionists truly believe this is an existential crisis because the Ummah moved. The Ummah moved. And now as we approach November, this is the crunch time. You have to keep moving. You have to keep pushing. You have to keep mobilizing. You have to keep strategizing. You have to keep planning those routes. And this is why here on this podcast, when you ask me, do you endorse? It's not about endorsing. I'm saying, listen, it's not about whether Jill Stein is the perfect candidate or not. I'm saying, what do the Zionists fear? They fear the breaking of the two-party system because Jill Stein might get 5%, because you might give her 5%, and they're worried that the invincibility of Zionism will break because Harris will lose because you abandoned her. You weren't scared about the other side. You abandoned her because you said, Wallahi, I will not forgive the slaughter of 240,000 Palestinians. That was a red line. You need to learn a lesson. And let's be honest, when the Democrats realize that they lost because of Gaza, in 2 years' time, they won't say we don't need the Muslim vote. They won't say we don't need the anti-genocide vote. They will come with a different face than that with which they supported genocide.
Yeah. And by the way, look, to the entire viewing audience, I don't care where you stand, the color of your skin, who you worship, what generation you're part of. If the Democrats do lose in November, and there's a good chance that they can, and they will, they're going to be blaming everyone. And there's going to be a lot of triggered liberals. On the one hand, I'm going to be laughing at them. On the other hand, I feel like I think we have every right to snap back and yell at them too. For too long, we've dealt with their abuse. Now, I'm not expecting much from Trump, I hope he succeeds. Hell, I want the president of the United States to succeed, no matter who they are. But when I say succeed, I'm speaking out of idealism. A strong economy, peace in our time. I know, rainbows and sunshine all around. Who doesn't like to see that? I don't know if there can be a peace or a ceasefire. I don't know if it can be done with the amount of hurt and pain, with the amount of dead bodies, dead people, with the amount of military aggression not only happening in Gaza and the West Bank, but now Lebanon, Syria, Iran. Who's next? Jordan, Iraq, Egypt. It's clear that this war is not going to end. And even if there is a ceasefire, 10 years down the road, maybe, and I'm being generous at that time, oh no, looks like here we go again. Another pointless, stupid, wasteful war. We're better than this. And if we do not find a way to improve ourselves and put peace as a priority, there'll be nothing but a wasteland. And the rivers will be flowing red. 1 year. 1 year, and what have we learned? We learned that our politicians are okay sitting on their thrones, knowing that they have the power to stop it and do nothing. If that's not evil, I don't know what is.
It is the best $3 billion investment we make. Whether or not in Israel, the United States of America would have to invent an Israel to protect her interest in the region. The United States would have to go out and invent an Israel.
I don't mean to sound alarmist, but most of what they let you read is garbage. Most of it's designed to warp our minds until subconsciously you find you'll take the time to lick their boots free of grime and wipe their minds free of tarnish. Oil is the centerpiece, a body count of millions is the garnish. So how's it feel to know we funded every carcass? That every year our taxes pay for carpet bombing Gaza under shroud of darkness? Or that we spend enough a year to house and feed each homeless person in the streets on turning families in apartment buildings in the Middle East to bloody craters full of charred garments? And our media is silent at best. At worst, they can find it in themselves to call war crimes clashes and label children burned to ashes terrorists who played a stupid game and reaped the harvest. And every time we try to paint the truth, the news sends their slugs to suck off all the varnish and distort it into something harmless. See, the media will hang you by your feet and keep you half asleep. So yes, I'm here to set you free, but freedom won't be sweet because you'll fall 1,000 feet when I come cut you out your harness. They say those who dream the deepest fall the farthest. They also say that home is where the heart is. But if home for you is Gaza, Netanyahu's got you painted as a target. Perhaps it's not the impact, but it's what you see when falling that will hit the hardest. Maybe it's the sound of all those children crying out in those apartments that will hit the hardest. Maybe all those little bodies scattered in the dirt will hit the hardest. Maybe seeing human lives assigned such little worth will hit the hardest. Maybe it's the knowledge that you're paying for the darkest of atrocities committed on this earth that will hit the hardest. Maybe it's the knowledge that we give 10 million a day to oppressors who possess the kind of Medicare you'll die in debt before you see that's gonna hit the hardest. Maybe then you'll see you've always had more in common with the commoners whose slaughter we fund every day in Gaza than our senators and bosses. Maybe then you'll see our country never had a conscience. Maybe then the retroactive guilt will make you nauseous. Maybe what hits harder than the impact is the act of being conscious, of knowing your complicity and helplessness to try and stop the bloody deeds of Congress. And that no matter who's in office, America preserves its foreign interests by whatever means its greed demands, however monstrous. You see, we'll always need a place to drain our contras. And Biden's got a backup plan should harm befall the Holy Land. Wipe it off the map, he'll draw it back on with an iron hand. He demands an Israel or reasonable effigy to exercise democracy and colonize the Middle East. Regardless of the human cost of phosphorus atrocities, bought and paid with money they rerouted out the budget for the non-essential things like ever making Flint's water clean. So maybe what hits hardest is the day you see this country for its actual priorities, and nevermore no honest peace attempting sleep. Maybe then you'll look at politicians making speeches like a blood-encrusted beast espousing destiny to empty seats and fellow leeches. As the gauntlet of democracy extends its brutal reach, like a giant wave of trash come to crash on foreign beaches. Maybe build a base, throw a flag down, and heavily pollute the region. Rape your ecosystems, gut your fauna, and congratulate you on your new allegiance. Oops, we mean alliance. This is something mutual unless you're non-compliant. We stole something crucial on which you can be reliant. So maybe what hits hardest is the centrist saying both sides need to stop the violence. And those would be the very same centrists saying we should all accept police brutality, who hem and haw and clutch their fucking pearls and spend their time condemning riots. But very soon will come the day the centrists all get censored like the rest of us, and pious as they'll try to be, they won't stay quiet. But they'll just end up shouting in the void that they were also quick to render us subscribers. And it will be too late to light the fires. So far away tonight, they burn the spires of a region set ablaze for which you've paid for every pyre. Which is why your checks weren't all $600 higher. And call it foreign interests or American desires. This is why your checks weren't all $600 higher. Far away tonight, they burn the spires of a region set ablaze for which you've paid for every pyre. Call it foreign interests or American desires. This is why your checks weren't all $600